Hello and welcome to the dungeon. My name's Dan, and in today's video we've been playing a lot of Mortal Kombat 11. Now, a disclaimer before we begin. As I'm sure a lot of people are aware, Mortal Kombat is a very violent game franchise. Lots of blood, fatalities, and people not having a great time. Now, ordinarily I wouldn't care since it's all about video games, and video game violence has no bearing on real world violence. But since one guy, at least, who's working on the development team got PTSD from looking at all the gore, I thought I would make the announcement before we go any further. So, I was playing this on the PlayStation 4, but like most games these days, you can also play on PC, Xbox, and for some reason the Switch. I really can't imagine how that would work, but hey, I guess Nintendo have a way of making modern games work on their last-gen systems. But enough about that. So Mortal Kombat has been going on for quite some time. We're talking early 90s. As far as I'm aware, it's always been the same studio, NetherRealm, who've worked on every title, and this is no different. So with having 11 titles in the main franchise and a few other subtitles, there is a lot of history and lore to the Mortal Kombat verse. In this one, that lore stretches back all of 2 games, because Mortal Kombat 9, spoilers, kinda reset the whole thing from the beginning, and then 10 followed on from that, and now 11 is following on from this again. So if you're a fan of consistency and franchises respecting what happened beforehand, this may not be for you. Don't get me wrong, they do talk about past events and it's very important what's going on, but they always find a way to dismiss it and just start afresh once more. In this way, we're using time travel again. I don't know about you, but I'm getting pretty sick and tired of time travel being the low-hanging fruit of plot mechanics these days. Of course, I'm referring to Avengers Endgame, which again, spoilers, a lot of time travel was involved in that, so a lot of past events no longer were as important as they should have been. And I'm sure this can also apply to other films, TV shows, and video games throughout the years. There's even a rumour that the upcoming Star Wars movie will involve some kind of time travel, because when you reach rock bottom, anything you do will be an improvement. So Mortal Kombat Story Mode has a lot of time travel pretty much ingrained into every plot point. Now what this means is that a lot of past characters who bit the dust now get to come back. And even characters that had survived previous games get to meet their younger selves and have a bit of chemistry that way. A good example of this is seeing how Johnny Cage has changed over the years when older Cage meets his younger self.
I swear to God, I'm losing it. Can't someone, anyone, explain to me what the hell is going on? Right? I've been in the future for a whole hour and I haven't seen one jetpack.
And later on gets to fight said self. It also means we get the return of one of my favourite characters, Shao Kahn. But unfortunately, from going from the ultimate boss in Mortal Kombat 9, he's a bit more of a glorified henchman in this one. And he kinda sucks. Definitely not worth pre-ordering this game for. So, the main storyline involves a new character called Kronika, who apparently is the big bad of the franchise, so big and bad that we've only heard about her in this one title. Her gimmick is time, as I've already mentioned. She can control it, she can change it around, she can make collapsed castles come back together again, all kinds of timey-wimey stuff like that. Her intentions are pretty scary, in that she wants complete control over all of time and space, as far as I'm aware, and she's recruiting some bad guys to help her with that, including Shao Kahn and various other ones. The good guys, led by Raiden of course, have to try and prevent her, and also deal with their own animosity amongst each other. Basically, it's your standard Mortal Kombat storyline, without a tournament situation, which I for one do miss. So yes, for me the plot wasn't the best I've seen before in a Mortal Kombat game, especially considering I really like Injustice 2's storyline. this one felt too by the numbers, and there were a few interesting parts to it, like what happens to Jax about halfway through, and the final, let's just say, development of a certain character is cool. But ultimately, it does what it needs to do, which is give a reason for lots of fights to take place, and give us a new bad guy to focus on and try to defeat. So all in all, the plot is fine. With regards to the roster, and I'd say this is a small improvement over Mortal Kombat 10, we've lost those two sons of Blind Kenshi and the other guy, I can't really remember, from last game. One was an archer and one was more of a swordsman. Yeah, they were forgettable. Anyway, they're gone. So we still have Cassie Cage with all her millennial goodness. I've still got Jackie Briggs, we've got Devora, the insect lady, she's back again. And everyone's favourite Outworld / Texan, Aaron Black. And he's still Aaron Black and doesn't really do a whole lot in the plot. New characters include Gareth, who's the big guy who likes rock and more timey-wimey stuff, as well as Chronica's daughter, who's kind of an elemental goddess type character. We've also got the Collector. I wasn't sure if he was a new character or not. He's got 4 arms like Goro, but I don't remember him from the previous games. Maybe someone who's more in depth with Mortal Kombat lore can tell me if this is the first time I've seen him or not. Now, with the new characters, I'm afraid we've had to say goodbye to some of the older ones. Where is my boy Reptile? He was my favourite ninja. I liked his acid, I liked his green costume. He is not in this game, and that is a travesty. Speaking of Goro, where is the big 4-arm giant? Just hanging around, playing some video games, no doubt. Sindel's not here, I thought she would be too. Nightwolf, oh yeah, he's DLC. Striker? Actually no one cares about Striker. Cabal? Actually, Cabal is in this game, which is nice considering he wasn't in the last one. And Cabal is one of my favourite characters to play with, hence all the footage of him. But again, in the plot, they don't really use him that much and he's kind of wasted. So with Mortal Kombat being such a long series, I do appreciate the fact that they have a lot of characters, and to bring every single one in, even with the excuse of whole time travel, would take a lot of development time. Yes, by all means save them as DLC characters, I'm sure plenty of people will buy them, as well as hopefully characters from other franchises. Please, please, please God, let me have Pennywise, that would be so great. And we have got a lot of the old favourites like Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Kitana, Sonya, all of those names that it would be heresy not to include in Mortal Kombat, apart from Mortal Kombat 2, which had no Sonya. Okay now. But on the whole, the roster is quite diverse, with lots of different fighting styles, body shapes, sizes, colours, all that stuff. So plenty for everyone. As for the combat itself, this is Mortal Kombat combat as far as I can tell. A lot of emphasis on putting the right moves in, using distance amongst the enemies, knowing when to teleport, knowing when to duck. Not so much extent when it comes to combos, more kind of slower, gentler. Gentler seems weird in this type of situation, but more tactical way of fighting, I'd say. The X-ray mechanic has been slightly tweaked in this one, so you can use it, but if you miss then it recharges quickly, and from what I saw it's only 1 per match. And it is quite easy to duck or jump over someone's X-ray ability and it can get wasted. Or, and this happened to me one time, I was most annoyed, I was about to do my ability and I knew it would have landed, but because of how the animation works, I had to step back. And this was a gimmicky match with all types of other stuff happening, including flame jets, so I stepped back onto a flame jet and it killed me. So yes, these moves are not the be-all and end-all. Still, mastering a character and knowing when to use what abilities is the way to get good. And just like Mortal Kombat tradition, it's bloody. Lots of gore, lots of internal shots of bones being broken and blood vessels pumping and all of that juicy good stuff. And knocking off someone's head with a brutality is always going to go down a treat. Using the environments is still very much a thing, since you have hooks, drills, wild beasts that you can manipulate to attack the enemy. And of course, each fighter has multiple ways of fighting and different abilities they unlock when they choose a certain stance, so there is a lot of depth when it comes to the fighting system. For a fighting franchise that's been going on for so long, there's no reason why they wouldn't mess this up, so yeah, good old fighting system. Onto the visuals, this is a team that knows what it's doing, and this looks smooth and very polished. While some characters I find look a little flat in places, the environments are all particularly lavish, my favourite being the Shaolin Garden, as well as the dinosaur area. But looking at some footage of the very old Mortal Kombat, I do miss some of the imagery from number 2 in particular. All those portals and all kinds of nether-realmy weirdness. I think there is certainly a lack of that in the more recent games, and I think having more of it would make the game just a little bit more special. Facial animations are still very good from this developer, but I seem to remember them being even better in Injustice 2. I remember Harley Quinn's face being particularly detailed and uncanny valley-like, but in a good way. None of the faces in this game have wowed me as much as hers did, so I'm not sure if they're using the same tech or maybe with all her makeup, who knows. To be honest, when it comes to a game like this, beat 'em up, there's not really that much to focus on apart from gameplay and visuals. As long as it plays good and it looks pretty enough, that's all you really need. And for this game ticks those boxes. The music is good as well. I particularly like the violin score on the menus. And when it comes to the crypt, one of the things you can unlock, along with many others, are tracks from various rounds, so it gives you something to keep playing towards. Other tracks though just faded into the background, and nothing apart from menu music was particularly memorable to me. Now, voice acting on the whole is generally quite good. The monk bromance between Kung Lao and Liu Kang is still as good as ever.
Whoever came here knew how to disarm these traps.
Do you know how? The monks never taught me.
More likely you did not attend class. Watch for the pattern. And pick your moment.
Easy enough.
But NetherRealm, please tell me, what lines of logic did you follow to think hiring Ronda Rousey to play Sonya was a good idea? Bearing in mind her acting ability was pointing at a WrestleMania sign and glaring at... Who thinks that is good for a resume? Just check these lines out.
You might be alive in this future, but that can change.
Talk about phoned in. You know, I get celebrities and using their voices. Liam Neeson in Fallout 3 was pretty good. Jean-Luc Picard in Oblivion was great, even if it was just for the intro bit. But do we really need MMA stars, particularly retired ones, in fighting games? Come on now. So Dan, you might be asking, after you've done the story mode, what else is there to do in this game? Well, I'll tell you what, towers. Climbing up towers, fighting everyone on every floor you come across, like in every other Mortal Kombat game. So if you like towers, then this is the game for you. We've got your classic where you get to fight Chronica at the end, and then you get a story as to what your wish was and how you would change back time. Some towers which are more centric to a particular character, and playing them just gets you lots more loot of that person. We've got daily towers that once you've done for a day, you're done. Great. You've got gimmicky towers of all kinds of great stuff, like missiles coming out of vortexes, and the screen going dark when you get hit by someone with a dark attack, although that was kind of cool actually from Noob Cybot. Basically, you'll be playing a lot of towers once you finish the story mode, as well as online play if that's your jam. I put it to you, the listener, that NetherRealms really did want to put some kind of other mode in this game. I can really tell from the story mode sequences between the matches. They really wanted this to be a big, special blockbuster of a game. So there's lots of things like gun battles going on, and Johnny Cage in a tank for some reason, fighting off against someone in a helicopter. Lots of big climactic action sequences that you wouldn't normally have in a 1 versus 1 fisticuffs bout. And furthermore, what about the crypt? In the crypt, you actually have a character, this random guy, who you get to control and get to smash things with a hammer and open chests. They built a whole engine to include this level of interactivity and a new character model for a glorified extras menu. Think about that. All that work just so you could get some fan art and some new loot. No wonder people were suffering on this game for crunch season. If you're gonna have a guy with a hammer smacking around things, why not have some enemies? Why not have a new mode? I'm talking Shaolin monks type thing. That gives people something else to do apart from just one-on-one fighting. It gives a great chance for co-op. There's all kinds of great areas to use in the Mortal Kombat verse. Dungeons, forests, various temples, various labs, all kinds of great levels that you could have really used. But Dan, you say, people were overworked as it was on this game. You're asking for more content? Okay, how about you delay the game until it's ready without working everyone to death? Also, did we need loot that you could augment? Did we need some kind of crafting system in Mortal Kombat? Did we need consumables in towers? I would rather have one crappy karting mode than all of what I had just mentioned. So, moving on. Should you wish to play this game online, then of course we have that covered. I didn't actually play much in terms of my playthrough since I'm more of a single player person and I didn't really want my ass kicked that much. So here's a match with me winning. Yay. Matchmaking seemed fine, although the guy seems speaking in a different language, so I'm guessing it's not too region based. And for the more competitive of you, then of course we have tournaments as well to play through, so that's nice. So one of the big departures of this game from the previous titles is the fact that you can earn loot as you play the game. And you can unlock loot in the crypt as we mentioned before. This is mainly cosmetic things, so you can change your masks, you can change your armors, all that kind of stuff, your blades on your weapons. So yes, dress up is a big part of this game now. I know before at launch, a lot of criticism was that it would take a lot of coins and a lot of grinding to get stuff. And since then they've actually patched it out, so now it's a lot easier. I have played this game say 2 or 3 months after launch, so I can't really say how it was before, but in terms of the rate you get coins and other currencies, I'm not too sure why there's like 3 or 4 of them. Why would you need meat to unlock a chest? Anyway, at the rate you get them, it seems fine to me, so it gives you a reason to keep playing, but it doesn't seem so daunting. And yeah, some of this loot can be augmented as well, so you can unlock an augment space, and then you can use consumables or other kind of crafting materials to make augments work for you in certain ways, such as getting more money from a match. To me, all this stuff seems like needless busy work just to slightly alter your gameplay experience, but hey, that's just my opinion. So Dan, how about that controversy about the whole female models in this game not having the options to be as exploitative as the male counterparts? Well, thanks for bringing that up. The virtue signaling is so strong here, you could use it as a lighthouse. I mean, everyone thought Mortal Kombat as a game with lots of horrific violence. No one thought of it as a sexy game in the first place, so I don't really know where this whole thing was coming from. I know 9 had Melina and the whole flesh laboratory thing or whatever, but I don't think sex with Mortal Kombat, with the possible exception of Shao Kahn's slaves. But all the fighters in this game, in the lore, they're all badasses to some extent, including the women. If a woman is wearing a certain outfit in this game, chances are she chose to. So this seems to be very much a storm in a teacup situation. And it just gives people less choice, really. Some people like to cosplay as sexy females. In the same way, they like to cosplay as sexy males. And that includes both men and women. So NetherRealm, why don't you try and focus more on making good fighting games as opposed to trying to right society's ills? And also, please don't work your staff to death. Performance-wise, I did have some issues initially on the PlayStation 4. I would load up the first intro movie, the one where Raiden's all being "Rrrr," and Shinnok is all, how do you find my amulet? You should try it more often, type thing. And then it would cut. The movie would end, and my PlayStation 4 would just exit out the game. And yeah, that was a pain. Eventually, I found a workaround, and then I had no more issues with that. So performance-wise, it's okay, but some issues depending on the user, I guess. Oh yeah, speaking of that, where was Shinnok? I would have thought he might have turned up, but again, more DLC. And another thing I should have mentioned in the plot area, I would have liked to have seen more evil Raiden. You do get to see some of it, but from what I had expected from the ending of the last game, I thought this evil Raiden would be more of an integral part to it. Spoilers, it's not. So back to performance and how the game plays. AI seems fine, although a little simple when I was playing normal. I basically did the cheap thing of doing lots of jumps and uppercuts that worked out just fine. All in all, Mortal Kombat 11 gets the grand score of 3.5. Kotal Khan soaring through a lady out of 5. It's a good fighting game with lots of polish, but it certainly isn't the best one on the market. It's not even the best Mortal Kombat in my opinion. 9, I think, is a far superior game to this. But there are some good moments in here, particularly in the story mode and all the character interactions. Dressing your peeps up is fun, and there's plenty of things to unlock in the crypt, including things like artwork, scenery, music, other throwbacks to previous games which were appreciated. I really do think though NetherRealm should focus on maybe another game set in the Mortal Kombat universe, go back to the whole Shaolin monks thing, or maybe something different. I was thinking one time whilst playing through the story mode, this would actually be a great setting for some kind of miniature war game. Now I'm not suggesting they do that, but some kind of RPG/RTS type thing, a small group of characters leading them around a map, all kinds of enemies to fight. That could work out quite well, I think. So I think that's all from me when it comes to Mortal Kombat 11. Thanks again for watching, and hopefully you'll join me for the next one, which will be Warhammer Chaos Bane. I'll give you a spoiler for that one. It sucks. Anyway, bye for now.